Chris Wittyngham is a soccer broadcaster for CBS and MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. He's on the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Inter Miami have 2 games in 4 days. Tonight, they visit the New England Revolution at Gillette Stadium. And there's going to be another 50,000 plus crowd expected for that one. And on Saturday, they return home, take on the second place team in the East, Nashville SC. Both of those games are live on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. And we are watching this PSG Real Madrid game. And me and Solana have money on PSG. Jimmy happens to be a big Real Madrid fan. He's not happy. It's 3-0. We saw, and I don't know if this is an expected result here, Wittyngham. I do see that the Club World Cup here at, where is this? MetLife, I think?
Yep. Yeah, it's MetLife.
It is packed to the brim. Yep. Obviously, these are 2 premier clubs. I saw what PSG, I don't think I've spoken to you, at least on the air, since Inter Miami played PSG. So that was one of my first my first looky-loos at that team. Was a guy like Messi, would he have expected that outcome?
I think so.
So everyone knew. I was surprised only because I'm like, oh, Messi means magic and anything can happen. And I love an underdog story. But so everyone knew going into that game that Inter Miami, even though they had advanced out of their group, was wildly outclassed by PSG.
I mean, PSG are wildly outclassing Real Madrid, who's someone who would consider a top 3, top 5 team in the world, depending on how far you want to branch out. At this point in the game, we're 27 minutes into this game against Real Madrid, and it's 3-0. When they played Inter Miami, it was 1-0. So you can argue that Inter Miami are faring better against PSG than Real Madrid.
Inter Miami, by distributive theory, is better than Real Madrid.
Absolutely. I said that they definitively proved they were the best Inter in the world because Inter Milan lost the Champions League final 5-0 to PSG. So they definitively proved they are the best Inter in the world. Yeah, I mean, this PSG side is just of a different level. And it's kind of wild because over this last 15 years, they were bought by the Qataris in 2011. And they pumped more than $2 billion into this team. It's crazy the amount of money that they spent. They at one point had Messi with Mbappe, with Neymar, all the stars you could ever want in the world. But the team didn't make any sense. And they would flounder in the Champions League and they wouldn't win big games because everyone's going, well, they have all this star talent. Why can't they win? And it's because they weren't a very good team. And in some ways, soccer is as much, and I think this kind of gets back to your question, it is as much a weak link sport as it is a best player sport. It depends as much on who your 11th best player is as to who your best player is. And so PSG, they don't have a single weak link in the team. And so it is impossible to play through them, to beat them, to find their weaknesses because they just have such a good squad now. And for Miami, there just is going to be a certain amount of players going to make mistakes. You're surprised that on the day when Miami lost to PSG, it was Sergio Busquets who was making the mistakes because he's normally so good in possession and so clean. They gave away such a cheap goal. But yeah, for me, going into that game, and I think we were joking about it on text, I said to you, if they complete a pass in the PSG half, I will celebrate as if Miami won the World Cup final. Yeah, that is how much better PSG are than Inter Miami.
Yeah.
And Chris, like the speed of it, because I wasn't watching, but I was seeing the text message thread between Hawk and Solana. Is it just like they're younger, they're faster? Like, why is it such that difference? Is it just talent, discrepancy? What's the difference in that?
I would say there's about a 25% athleticism gap because Miami have some good athletes in their own right. I mean, MLS is a league of athleticism. It is a league where, there are young American players that have fresh legs and are really quick too. But it really is the talent on the ball. It is the ability to, no matter who you're playing, you're quicker than them, both in terms of the actual speed that you have, but also the speed of play. When you're connecting passes, the ball moves faster than any man. And so they're so crisp with where everyone is on the field. They know exactly where every player is on the field, where they're supposed to be. If you make this run, I make that run. If you're here, then I'm there. And then the quality of the passing is so crisp and so sharp that there just is no way to get near them. And so you see them against the best teams in the world. You can't stop them from having the ball, never mind a team like Miami. So really, 25% of it, they have incredible athletes, particularly up front. But also every player is so good when they get the ball, and they have such a clear idea of what to do with it that there just is no stopping them.
Witty, what was your biggest takeaway from an MLS perspective about the Club World Cup, because look, I didn't like the sweeping generalizations about the MLS as a league based on Inter Miami going down 4-0 at halftime to PSG. Like, I don't think it makes sense. I don't think Inter Miami set up tactically to go out there, or personnel wise, to play the tactics which they try to play, which is defend, like park the bus, basically. Like they can't do it. They don't have the personnel to do that, even if they wanted to.
And it's not what they should do in MLS every week. They're better than the teams that they play against. They should try and beat them with the ball.
But Seattle doesn't win a game. LAFC drew once, but had 2 losses. Inter Miami was the only team that got out of their group and played well, like looked like they belonged. Is it a matter of Don Garber has to open up the salary cap limitation? Like what was your biggest takeaway? Because I thought Inter Miami played really well, but it's not necessarily what MLS fans want to see, which is a team that just seems like they have unlimited money and just buying older veteran players.
Yeah, I think for MLS, I think the way that Inter Miami played is a sign of, if you do this right, which, to be fair, getting the greatest player ever is about as hard to do as is possible. But if you do this right, you can go out there and you can compete at a reasonable level. You can play against the lower tier European sides, against the South American teams, and against the big teams from Mexico. You can absolutely do that. And we saw that from Miami in this tournament. But if you're trying to reach further and further and further and further, PSG, as I mentioned, over the last 2 years, they have spent $650 million just on the transfer fees on players, never mind the salaries. I would say roughly the expenditure is over $1 billion. That's just over the last 2 years. I would say this squad probably cost about $2 billion to assemble. So we're comparing that to MLS, where the salary cap is around $11 million. When you sort of all in, Inter Miami from a salary standpoint cost about $46 million, which is astronomical by MLS standards, but by world football standards, it really isn't that big. So if you're going to get there, you have to sell out every stadium, you have to have a big TV deal, and the economic model has to build up the teams to where they can keep spending and spending and spending. And I think more teams are kind of doing that on their own. I think they're recognizing the value in actually buying players to then sell them, meaning you buy a young player, they get a lot better, they score a lot of goals for your team, and then you sell them to Europe for twice as much as you paid, and that profit center is allowing you to kind of regenerate your team. But I think that in the overall, you're so far away from spending the amount of money you'd have to spend, and for the business model to be in that place, that you kind of have to take the steps that you can take, which I think they are. And I think MLS on the whole is. I was a little disappointed by what Seattle and LAFC did. LAFC in particular, as a big market team that kind of track big stars, I don't feel like they threw their best punch. I feel like Seattle, they bought from within MLS, but I don't think they took a swing on the level of what you needed to do in that group. They're playing PSG and Atletico Madrid. That's a different step.
Toughest group for sure.
Without question. So I think in the overall, the league did okay, but obviously it shows how far away you are and kind of the steps that you have to take.
And is it to that point, you talk about value and all that stuff, Chris, to that point, what reason would MLS go play a PSG or Real Madrid? Like, you're going to get your ass whooped. Like, what are you proving?
Well, first off, this is a tournament where you've qualified for it, so you go and do it. And I think part of the reason why you do it, one is, I think we've seen, for example, the MLS All-Stars. The MLS All-Star game used to be against a big European team. Now they kind of do it against the Mexican League, and it's kind of the Mexican All-Stars against the U.S. But they used to play a big European team, and I think the big reason why you do it and why you go try and test yourself at bigger levels is, I think, to show the marketplace, hey, this thing is better than you think it is. It might not be as good, but it's better than you think it is. So if you send Inter Miami out there, and they did at this Club World Cup against Porto, I think a lot of people have a lot of respect for, against Palmeiras, with the big clubs in Mexico, and against Al Ahly from Egypt, and you hold your own and you show, hey, people talk about this as if it's terrible, if it's just garbage, if it's just worthless soccer, and it just isn't. And so I think if you can go out there and show, you know what, maybe we're not as good as PSG, but we're as good as some other teams, and we show, okay, I think you're saying to the marketplace, hey, you know what, maybe we don't have the best soccer league in the world, but we do have a pretty decent one, and it's worth buying a ticket, going to a game, watching it on TV, or whatever the case may be. And I think that's kind of the goal of playing bigger opposition, is to show, and it's kind of been proven that the league has done a lot of research on this. The number one way that fans get disproven about the quality of MLS is when you play other leagues, when you play teams from other countries, and you show, you know what, this thing is the thing that I can go and see, that I can go and get a ticket for a reasonable price, is better than I think it is. I think that's the number one reason why you go and try.
Sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like Jake Paul Crowder when it comes to boxing. He hand selects his opponents. And so that creates this narrative that he can't box because if he were to fight a real boxer, he's going to get his ass kicked. So he avoids them and he hand picks. So here is MLS saying, yeah, we'll participate in that tournament and we'll participate in these matches because we want to show. Again, we may not compete against PSG, but we'll hold our own against Al Ahly.
But neither can
so
Real Madrid. Neither can Real Madrid. We're watching a game right now where the biggest club in the world is getting their ass kicked right now.
So it's baby steps.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, though, because you mentioned, a good start is signing the best player in the world. Messi has not extended his contract with Inter Miami for next season. And I wonder if there's anything to read into that.
Yeah, and there was a report that came out from CBS today that the Saudi Public Investment Fund are ready to go again and try and get him to come to Saudi Arabia this time, and there will be an absolutely crazy number that's thrown out there. He's being offered $400 million per year for the next 2 years to go play in Saudi Arabia or something. Ooh. I think about it a little bit, just because. First off, Miami are opening a new stadium next year. They want to, and in some ways need to have Messi to kind of make that project worthwhile. And I think there is a tiny worry that Messi wants to play at the World Cup here next summer, and that maybe he has to keep playing through the winter when MLS is off, when they're in their off season, to be at his sharpest and at his readiest for the World Cup that's here as Argentina try and defend their World Cup trophy next summer. So I do think that there's a tiny part of me that until that headline comes across, he has extended, everything is fine. I think we're seeing these transfer rumors out about Rodrigo de Paul, the Atletico Madrid midfielder, out there because I think they're trying to signal, hey, we're not stopping. Just because we got your friends Jordi Alba, Busquets, and Suarez, that we're going to stop trying to build the best team we can around you, to stop trying bringing people that you're comfortable with. For those that don't know, Messi won the World Cup, obviously, in 2022. Rodrigo de Paul was kind of known through that tournament as Messi's bodyguard. So anytime anyone went after Messi, this guy was in between and saying, hey, get out of here. I'm here. And go, if you're going to hit him hard, I'm going to hit you back. And he sort of has this reputation of being one of his best friends in the Argentina setup, but also protecting him on the field from the amount of hits that he was taking. So I think there is this constant desire to show not just we're trying to build a good team, but we're trying to build this team with people that you're comfortable with. And that in a big game, you can trust them.
Chris Wittyngham, you mentioned the new stadium is opening next season. Do we know if Inter Miami has decided to offer the same brownies in the club level at the new stadium that they offer at Chase Stadium? Because that, for me, is a huge draw.
I get it. I get it completely. And I have actually seen the menu of what they are offering in the biggest club areas. I didn't see the brownies, but I wasn't looking. But also, but I wasn't looking for them. This is before you and I went to that game together,
okay.
And you had a lovely time with the brownies. So I would imagine, just based off of how much airplay you have given the brownies at Chase Stadium on this program, they have to bring them.
Well, I gave a whole bunch of airplay to Matt Mervis, and they shadow banned him, the Marlins. So I'm not necessarily.
He was also hitting 193.
Yeah. Well, up for debate.
Today, he don't like them stats. He don't like them stats, Chris.
Stats are always malleable.
But I will say the brownies are more qualitative. There is no statistics that we can say to disprove you that
today
the brownies are
happens
delicious.
to be National Sugar Cookie Day. You strike me as a sugar cookie guy.
Oh yeah,
you have me pegged. You have me pegged. I
like a good basic sugar cookie.
There is nothing that makes me feel like an 11-year-old more than going to the Publix bakery and seeing the sugar cookies on display.
That's what Solana was saying. That
I could have a whole box. I could have a box of 24 of them, no problem. Tomorrow,
people go Publix chocolate chip cookies, which are fine. When they used to hand them out for free when you're a little kid, I used to ask for the sugar cookies with the sprinkles on top. Woody,
the best.
Yeah,
do they not offer the free cookie anymore?
Of course they do.
Well, not for adults.
Right. Okay. So let's ask the question: what is the age at which you can stop getting the free cookie?
Well, I think you start to get them again at 55. I think I've actually hit the
really?
end of the free cookie. No,
so
I don't. That would make sense, though, wouldn't it? I told you, I've got a menu. I've got a page on the menu at Denny's being 55 plus. I mean, there should be a beginning and an end for the free Publix cookies, right? I mean,
That is
it's gotta
true.
feel like I'm in the age group where they're like, yeah, here, you made it out. Have a cookie.
I'd say 70.
You
I'd say you
made
got to
it
be
out.
70 when you can start getting the free cookie again.
Anyway, Chris Wittyngham, we love talking soccer with you, and we always appreciate your time. Inter Miami, 2 games in 4 days. Tonight, they visit New England at Gillette Stadium, and there's going to be 50,000 plus there. And then Saturday, they return home, take on the second-place team in the East, Nashville SC. Both of those games are live on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. Thank you, Wittyngham.
Thanks, guys.